In this video, I'll show you how to get a list of thumbnails for a given category from the web. Now this is the Wallhaven website. Each of the categories in our listing that we've got so far is represented by a URL such as this, and these URLs return HTML containing all these thumbnails, which we want to extract using a service class. Now we're actually using HTML screen scraping here rather than an API due to reasons I've covered earlier, but basically Wallhaven doesn't have an API. However, they don't mind people doing a bit of screen scraping from what I've seen, and this obviates the need for people to deal with API keys to get this demo running on their computer if they're following the tutorial. So great, where shall we start? Firstly, we need to create a model class for each of the wallpapers. So let's do that. So in models, we'll make a class for wallpapers. Now this class will be very simple. All it will need is the URL for the detail page and the URL for the thumbnail. Of course, now we need a service to get our list of wallpapers. So let's create a new folder in the app to contain such classes. Alright, we've now got our services folder. Let's make a wallpapers service. Okay, and in this service we will have a static method that gets given the URL being this URL here, and it will call back with completion handler. Now let's do a type def for the completion block, because type defs are the best way of taming completion block syntax. Now the callback will be passed an array of wallpapers and a boolean to indicate whether it was successful or not. Alright, let's implement that. So firstly we need to make an NSURL request. Nothing magic going on there. And let's send an asynchronous request because blocking the main thread is a very bad idea. It'll return on the main queue. And here is its completion handler. Firstly, we'll check if anything came back. And this is the success case. Otherwise, this is the failed case. We'll just log the error and call the completion handler with no results and a no for success. Alright, if we're successful, we want to pass the results. Now since the results are HTML, we'll need to do some screen scraping rather than proper JSON parsing to parse it. And because you probably aren't particularly interested in the screen scraping code, I've pre-written it. So let's call it pre-written parsing code. and we would call the completion handler to say, here are our wallpapers. And yes, they were successful. Now we just need to import the wallpaper class for this to work. And we are good to go. So just to run this over one more time, when we request wallpapers, it builds a request, it sends it off as an asynchronous request. When it returns with a completion handler, it returns on the main queue, in other words, the main thread. If it was successful, we parse it and call back the completion handler. Otherwise, we log an error and call the completion handler to say that didn't work. Now, just for a quick and dirty test, let's look at the categories view controller, and we'll hook into the table view cell selection callback, so that when you tap on a cell, it calls the service. So when you select a row, we need to figure out the data representing that row. And if you remember, the categories data property is the URL that represents where to get the data for that category. So it'll be this URL. And when that completes, we'll just log what we get back. And while we're at it, we'll clean up some of the stuff that Xcode template gave us. All right, let's run that and see what we get. So if I tap on snow, open the log, and as you can see, it returned a whole bunch of wallpaper, which is great. Thanks for watching.